Join the conversation by calling in at 476-1045 or tweet into the show at 1045 The Team. It's Big Board Sports with Roger Weiland on 1045 The Team.
Well, it's an effort, and we're gonna effort. We are effort. We got him now. All right. People don't like when I use that word for some reason. Efforting. You like that word? We are efforting. We are efforting. Like when we don't have somebody right away.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, you say people don't like when you use it. It's a dirty word on radio because it just means you don't have something you should. That's all.
Well, we were efforting and the effort has paid off because here he is, the head coach of the Albany Empire, our good friend Rob Keefe, who's got to be a happy guy on this Monday morning after a huge win in Baltimore. Good morning, Coach.
Gentlemen, I'm always a happy guy.
What's up, Coach?
You weren't all that happy after the loss at home to Philadelphia.
No.
That wasn't
Well,
happy.
look at this. Hey, look, everybody loves you when you win. They hate you when you lose. That's just part of professional sports. That's how it goes. We all know this.
We do. But listen, here's what I was wondering, and I know you are wondering the same thing because you and I talked on the TV show this week about it. How would your team respond? You have a really tough loss at home. You lose 75-74. Are you going to be sulking over that, or are you going to have a good week of practice, go into Baltimore where that team has not lost at home, and come out of there with a W? And you did the second. You picked yourself up, you went in there, and obviously played a really good game.
Well, absolutely. I'm so proud of the guys, and that was the challenge this week of how we're going to respond. And, we kept using the phrase of almost like your child or someone that you care about that you really you're watching them grow up. And I think everybody can relate to this that has a son or daughter that when they fall and you're on the sidelines and it's the first time maybe they got knocked down on the football field, you just, hey, what do you say to you? Get up, come on, you can do it. Get up. And it's up to them. And we really challenge the guys that, what are you going to do? I mean, those are two really tough ways, to lose football games. I mean, I combined 4 points in the last 2 weeks, both at home, and we just wanted to see what the guys had. And I tell you what, they responded to the challenge. Couldn't be more proud of them. And much like a parent, you're really proud of your son or daughter when they're able to battle through adversity like that because it shows their true character.
So what's it mean now? Put it all. I love when you break down the standings on the Albany Empire Express, which is our weekly half-hour show on My 4 on Friday nights at 7, and then it re-airs again on Saturday morning 11:30. You sit there at 6-4. Are you in a good spot?
We're in a great spot, absolutely. And so if we were able to beat Philadelphia last week, right? We lost by a point last play of the game. We'd be sitting in first place right now, but we're not. So right now, currently, we're still in third place. But this is how it's going to work. So we're going to beat Washington this week. Philadelphia has to beat Baltimore, which I believe they will, in Philadelphia. And then when we beat Philadelphia the following week, we'll be in first place. So long story short, we have to win out these next two games, one away at Washington, one at home in Philadelphia. And Baltimore just has to lose one of their last two games, and then we'll be first place, and we'll have a better road to the Arena Bowl to host at home.
Now, let me put on my coaching hat and just say to you, now you have to be really careful this week that there's not the major letdown because you're going to go play a team that's only got one win, and everybody and their brother expects you to win this game.
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right. Friday night, it's a short week, so we have to rest up. I mean, that was a war. I mean, make no mistake about it in Baltimore. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are banged up, had to make the travel back. So anytime you travel back, you lose a day of rehab, you lose a day of treatment, just because of the travel schedule. And then, again, we're going to be traveling on Thursday of this week. So we're already at Monday here. Players have off. So we have pretty much 48 hours really to prepare. And Tuesday will be a light day. Wednesday will probably be our only full day of practice. And again, we can't bang the guys up too much because of the short week. So big-time mental focus, big time not letting this be what is called a trap game. You're exactly right, where we're looking too far ahead. We have to take care of our business. And we learned our lesson. I think we learned our lesson for the Philadelphia game as well, that you just can't assume that you're just going to come out there and show up to a win. So I'm completely fine with the lessons that we've learned as long as we don't repeat those mistakes. And I think the guys are ready for the challenge again.
Albany Empire head coach Rob Keefe with us here on Big Board Sports 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio. Albany gets a big-time win. They hand Baltimore its first loss at home this season on Saturday night, 56-49. Coach, there will be a lot of people rankled over the idea that Washington, if they're 1-11 going into the playoffs, could potentially still win an Arena Bowl because they will make the playoffs, as we all know. How wide is the gap, though, between, let's say, Baltimore in first place and Washington in last place?
Well, I tell you this, that 2 times that Washington and Baltimore have played, they've been down to one possession. Washington lost to Baltimore 42-41 one game. That's how close that game was. And in the first game of the season, Washington only lost by 5 points. But I think that's where the home and away playoff game comes into play. I think that makes it more fair. I think they did the right job by that. When you only have 4 teams in the league, which first and foremost everybody was worried about to begin with. But then I said, after last week's game, it's a pretty competitive league. There's only 100 players that are playing arena football at the highest level, in the country right now, and they're all very, very good. Now, could you imagine if Washington still had their MVP quarterback, right, Nick Davila, who unfortunately, got hurt? I mean, this would have been a brutal, series every single week. But with that being said, I think instead of it just being one playoff game, the fact that you're playing the same team home and away, I think that makes it more fair, and I think it justifies the seeding that you get. But look, the ball bounce is funny. I mean, we've seen this, right? I mean, there's with these onside kicks and the bar balls and the net. You never know how this is going to play out. You never know if a team is going to get shut out. And some teams match up differently with each other. But Washington and Baltimore, I mean, that's going to be a good game there. You never can take anybody lightly. It'll be a good game this week when we play Washington. They got a completely different quarterback in Arvell Nelson, who is 6'5", 240 pounds. I mean, a Cam Newton kind of style of quarterback. I mean, they've definitely gotten better, even though they're still losing. I'm telling you, they're right there. And if they get hot at the right time, you got to watch out in the playoffs.
Rob, these onside kicks make you crazy. I mean, even in your game in Baltimore, it was almost like, here we go again, because Hibbert, their quarterback, scores, and it's like 56-42 with 1:39 to go, and then they recover the onside kick, and then they score again, and now it's 56-49 with 49 seconds to go, and then you did recover the next onside kick, and were able to put the game away. But, boy, these onside kicks and having guys that can actually handle the football up front, or anywhere for that matter, is huge in these games.
Yeah, it's funny because, how brutal that would have been. I mean, that would have been a shot to the gut there if we lost that the same exact way. I think what's funny is nobody wants you to kick onside kicks, but then when other teams are onside kicking us, when they get them back, it's like, it's a genius play, right? So, look, onside kicks are part of the game. That's just the way that it is, and you have to have what we call great hands team. I mean, everybody has to be aware of the fact that every single kickoff could be an onside kick. For those who are paying attention closely to the game, the first kickoff that Baltimore had was an onside kick. That's exactly what they decided to do, and that's setting the tone. They were setting the tone of deception, of, hey, this is going to be a battle. We know that we can't stop the offense of Albany, so how are we going to get possessions back? And so, yes, it's crucial on both sides. You got to have a great kicker that can kick those, and Mark Lewis is very, very good. And I've coached him for 3 years in Orlando, and he was kicker of the year twice in this league, and he's a weapon. I mean, he truly is a weapon, and so we'll see him again, and it'll come down to this. And when we play Philadelphia, it'll be the same thing, which is great onside kicks, and you have to have guys that understand how to field the ball, understand how to block, understand how to be prepared for deception and trickery, and it's just part of it, man. And I've seen games where a kicker has kicked 8 to 9 onside kicks because they've been down so much, and hey, if you get 4 of them back, hey, you're right back in the game. So it's just part of the arena football game.
How good has Tommy Grady been? You talk about quarterback in this league, and 14 of 20, 199 yards, 7 more touchdowns for Tommy Grady on Saturday.
Yeah, he's doing unbelievable, and we realize how much we've been relying on Tommy. I mean, Tommy is the MVP in my opinion, not only because of his stats, but just because of how he manages the team. I mean, every single day, he's super instrumental in the game plan. I haven't seen a quarterback in this league in a very long time be as close to the building process each week of what plays he wants to call, what plays he wants to run, what plays he feels comfortable with. And then again, we want to give him as much help as possible, and that's where Michael Benson comes into play for the first time. He saw a fullback, that was running the football the way we did. Now that we can take some pressure, off the receivers and put another threat on the field. And so Tommy was super instrumental in getting Benson here as well. So he's doing so much on and off the field for us. He's definitely been the MVP in my mind. Well,
and Michael Benson is going to be our in-studio guest on the Albany Empire Express show this week. So good timing for that. Show a little love to a guy that you're going to rely on here down the stretch a little bit.
Yeah, and you have to. And so he's won 2 championships with Philadelphia. I mean, look, he's a great player. I mean, he was an H-back in college, gained some weight purposely to play fullback in this league so we can protect, because you have to 5-step protect with some of those big defensive linemen. But he feels very, very comfortable with the ball in his hands. And if you're in that 280, 290, 300-pound range and you can run the ball like that and handle it, it's an entirely different weapon. And so we haven't really had that threat all year. To get him here was just perfect timing, especially, too, when you have rounded end zones. And so if you watch the game, Baltimore has rounded end zones as opposed to our squared-off end zones. So much like baseball, where every week you might get a different, different distance to right field or left field, whatever it might be. When you have rounded end zones, it's very hard to score touchdowns when you're close if you're throwing the ball. So the closer we get, you got to really rely on that run game. So perfect timing to have Benson in that game and really helped us with a different dynamic.
Coach, quickly, can you explain that? Because when we were at practice on Wednesday, I saw the little cones you had set up to simulate a rounded end zone. As you said, the Times Union Center has the squared off traditional end zones. Is that up to the team to decide what kind of end zones they want to set up? How is that determined?
It's really not. I'm glad you saw that. Good observation. So it's really up to the arena. And so the first thing that I did, first thing the coaches did when we got hired here, we asked our operations crew and our team president. We said, hey, are we going to have squared end zones or rounded end zones? Because it completely changes the dynamic of your team with how you score when you're inside the red zone. But it's based on the configuration of the arena. You don't know what they're going to sell seat-wise down there. You don't know what the capacity of the length of the arena could be. Every arena is different just based on the length of where the field is going to be put down. So sometimes you have to cut the field because of the configuration of where fans and seating is going to be. So with that being said, we want to simulate that as much as possible in our own arena to give the simulation of Baltimore's end zones. So, yeah, we cut the end zones off just by usage of cones, and it really changes the dynamic of the plays that you run down there, where the fade ball isn't as instrumental. You have to really utilize the middle of that end zone, and teams that are used to that rounded end zone know that. And so, again, adding a fullback to run the football where we don't have to rely too much on the pass down there was huge, and it was perfect timing, the fact that we were going into Baltimore this week.
Well, it's nice to have a veteran, experienced coach like Rob Keefe running the show. You don't cut any corners, really, when it comes to trying to figure out a way to make sure your team is prepared to win the game. Rob, thanks. We'll see you, if not beforehand, I'll see you on Wednesday. Tuesday, Coach. Tuesday in studio for the Coaches Show.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much for the love, man, and appreciate you guys doing everything you do for us.
You got it, man. Take care. All right. So
okay, take care.
Big win, and now really that July 7th game is going to be rocking the house at the Times Union Center after a couple of weeks away.